So now let's take a look at how we can actually write to file in Java. So we have been able to read from a file using our file reader in our buffered reader. And we are going to kind of do the same type of thing to write to a file. What we will do in this case is we had basically set up our printer to be able to load paper and then print, and that printed to some pages. Then we call it the output page to actually print it to the screen. Instead of printing it to the screen, let's go ahead and print it to an actual file. So this output page method, we're going to change this now. I will comment out this, and we are basically going to take this output and we are going to print this out to a file. So the way that we will do this is we are going to need to create streams just like we did for the reader, and I'm going to show you the syntax this time of how to kind of create these streams so that they are already wrapped. This is typically how it is done in Java, and we are going to create a print writer, and a print writer is basically a buffered version of a writer, and it's going to use file writer, which file writer is just like the file reader in that it's only print one character at a time, and the file writer can print a whole line. It is very similar to this println that we have been using in our system.out. So I will declare this print writer and we will just call this a writer. And now that we have our print writer, we are going to create a try block, and in our writer we are going to do writer equal new print writer, and we are going to pass into this a new file writer. So we are chaining these together here, and in this file writer we are actually going to have our file. So I'm going to do the / output page .txt, and we are going to call this file output page.txt. So again, we are doing the same thing here. We are using this file writer and we are wrapping it, this stream, into this streams constructor, so that we are actually going to work with this print writer stream. And what we will do here is we will just call writer, and we will do .println to print a line, and then we'll print our string here, and our string comes from our pages map .get page number .get text, just like we had done here in this line that we had commented out. Now we are going to print this out, and that is going to print to our file. And actually we won't need to do this in a loop because we only have this one string that we are going to be printing out. So we are just going to write this line out, and then we are going to close the file. And we are going to do the same thing here. We are going to create this finally block, and in this finally block we are going to just check if our writer does not equal null. Then we need to close our writer, so we will do writer.close, and we are going to add our catch here for an IO exception. And you will notice on the writer it doesn't actually throw anything here, so we don't have to worry about catching an exception here. But this is it. It's really not that difficult, and the hardest thing to understand really with Java IO is this whole thing here where I am passing into the constructor these streams. And we are going to see a little bit more of how to do this when we actually implement this ourselves. But the basic idea here is we are taking kind of the most simple type of stream, a stream that can write one character, and we are wrapping it inside of this print writer stream. This print writer stream is able to do more complicated things like print lines. It can print an entire line, and it can print a stream. So I have got my directory here, this d / here, and you can see that we have our test.txt, but we don't have any other file in here. And I will go ahead and run this code, and let's see if we get our file produced. So we don't have any output here, but if I go into my D directory now, you can see I have this output page.txt, and you can see that it has line 1, line 2, blah blah blah, and then this 2 for the second page number. So if I were to change this, so instead we are going to output page, we will do page 1, for example, and then run this. Now if we look back in that directory, you can see in our output page, it is replaced it with page 1. So just to recap real quick, what did we do here? We changed our output page method, and what we did is we just made it so that instead of doing the system.out.println, we created a parent writer, and this parent writer, we wrapped a file writer inside that, loaded up our file that we are going to write to, and then we just simply did a println to print that text from that page out to it. So now we are actually able to read a file and write a file out in Java. And these same principles would apply to not just files, but a network if you're a data writer or a reader that read from a network. There are similar ones that are implemented in Java.